Everyone, Zeddy here again to do the brand new video. And yesterday, we went over my top favorite RNG cards in Hearthstone. We were all positive, we were embracing the random, but we all know that's not really Zeddy, that's not how I am. I despise the random, I loathe the random, it drives me up the wall. And let's go over the 10 cards that have driven me up the wall more than any other card. And I will note that one of these cards is actually on my favorites list. I'm that much of a hypocrite. Let's go over the most top 10 RNG hated cards in Hearthstone history. Alright, let's go over the top 10 most hated RNG cards. We were really positive yesterday, but let's start with number 10. This rage-inducing card, not only on ladder, but in arena, is Mind Control Tech. A 3-mana 3/3 minion. If your opponent has 4 minions or more, steal one. You take one. You know how many games you have like 3 1/1s and then you have this giant minion and they frickin' steal it? It's rage-inducing. It's infuriating. It's like the worst type of RNG. The game swinginess of Mind Control Tech is ridiculous and always has been. And it was just an infuriation in Standard, in Wild, and in Arena. It still exists in Wild, although not really run these days. But now, at least we don't have to worry about it as much. But man, how many games have you lost to the most ridiculous garbage MC Tech? I don't think it's been missed since it's been Hall of Famed. And yeah, let's hope they never make a card like that again. Number 9 is Underbelly Angler. This is a Shaman Murloc. It's a 2-mana 2/3. And every time you play a Murloc, add another one to your hand, which could be another Underbelly Angler, which could give you another Underbelly Angler. And that Underbelly Angler could give you another Underbelly Angler. And then that one, it can give you another one. But that one, I'll probably give you a Murloc Raider. And yeah, it's a premium statted 2-drop with potential infinite value that just drives me up the wall. And for a while, Murloc Shaman was very meta in Standard, and it just drove me nuts that, oh, they're out of cards. I guess I went, oh no, he played Murloc, Underbelly Angler, and one just filled their hand, and it's just ridiculous. And all the Murlocs have synergy with each other, and it's just crazy. I feel like a card like this should not have premium stats, should not be a 2-drop, should not have infinite value, but hey, they made it. Doesn't see a heck of a lot of play now, but it won't stop me from complaining about it. Number 8 is another Shaman card that, like, completely dominated ladder during the Doom of Tomb event. I don't remember what it was called. It was right before BGs came out, and then during BGs, and everyone played it. Anyways, Evolve. So, you play Doppelgangster, Evolve, you can win the game. Or, in more recent times, Desert Hare and Evolve, and I don't know, I just found this to be gross RNG. It's 1 mana, depending on the game, just win it. Like, oh, your 1/1s all became gigantic, ridiculous minions, and it's just infuriating to lose to just that type of thing. It can be fun to play to an extent, but being on the other end of it just sucks. And I hated that Evolve Shaman meta so much. It, like, legitimately made Hearthstone such a worse game for quite a long time, and I'm just not going to let that go. So screw you, Evolve. You can be fun at times, I'll give it that, when you play it and you hit that really crazy Evolve, but ugh, sorry, not enough for me to get over it. Number 7 is a Priest Legendary Minion, Lyra the Sun Shard. Again, infinite value attached to a minion. At least this time it's a 5-mana Legendary, but one of my most despised decks of all time was the Gallery Priest, where you would cheat out your Gallery, and then you have Radiance, and then you'd have, like, Lyra, and you get infinite 0-mana spells that could just do ridiculous things. And it's just so much frustration to be on the other end of watching your opponent spam a billion random spells and you have no idea what to play around anymore. And it was just such a frustration. I lost my mind over this card many a times. If Radiant Elemental wasn't a card, I probably wouldn't even hate it as much. But the fact that you could play Radiant and just chain so many spells and it was so random, the variance is so high. Just, I hated that. I hate when you can't realistically have any way of playing around anything other than, well, yeah, I guess you just play around every single pre-spell in the game. That shouldn't be too hard, right? Yeah. So Lyra, you can suck a big one. Not a big fan of you. Next, we have number 6 is Mana Cyclone. So this one, for me, I was like a little torn about it. Is it Mana Cyclone or is it Evocation? The new Mage Legendary spell that fills your hand with random spells. And for me, I'll give the edge to Mana Cyclone because it can give you Evocation randomly, which is bullshit. So yeah, it's a 2-mana 2/2 mage card. You add a random mage spell to your hand for every spell you've cast this turn. It's a staple in Quest Mage in Wild, and it has just been one of the most degenerate things to do is play Sorcerer's Apprentice, a billion spells, Cyclone, more spells, and your opponent has no way of knowing what the hell to play around, and they could get secrets that also you can't play around that could completely screw over your deck. It's just obnoxious as hell. And I've played probably more Quest Mage than almost anybody, and that's coming from me. The part I've hated the most about Quest Mage, even playing it, the part I like the least about playing Quest Mage is Cyclone and the ridiculous RNG it provides. Like, I like the combo aspect of Quest Mage. I really don't like the RNG aspect of it. And Mana Cyclone is like the biggest culprit of that, outside of, I guess, Evocation. But it can give you Evocation, so it's worse. Number 5 is actually a card from my most favorite RNG cards. Deathstalker Rexar. I told you I hated this card when I played Control Warrior, and I'm gonna put it on the list because it's one of the cards I just hate facing the most. I just can't stand the infinite value random beast brigand bullcrap it can bring on. And yeah, so it's one of my favorite cards to play, but it's also one of my least favorite to face. So that's why I'm putting it on both lists. But overall, yeah, just losing the game, like you're playing a control deck and they get like the Hatchling card that just goes anti-fatigue and then you can't kill them anymore, or they get random giant lifesteal and they Dire Frenzy that random lifesteal minion. It just drove me crazy. And I just like, infinite value is the worst design out there. To an extent, unless I like it, you know. But anyways, yeah, just drove me nuts. I'm putting it on the list. It's on both. So you can get mad at me about both of them, or neither of them. Maybe you agree. I don't know. Number 4 is a more recent addition to the game. We actually have a lot more of the recent additions in the top 4, because I really have not liked the direction of the game. But first off, number 4 is Ysera Unleashed. It's the Druid Dragon Legendary. It's a 9-mana 4/12. You shuffle 7 portals into your deck, and they summon random dragons. The variance on dragons is ridiculous. The fact you can discover Yseras from like Emerald Explorer or Lackeys or whatever. I guess it's hard to get Lackeys in Druid, but you know what I'm talking about. And then, yeah, you can play it on like turn 5 with all the ramp, or with the new Innervate coming out even sooner. And then you cheat out a bunch of giant dragons that no board could almost no deck could reasonably expect to deal with. It just sucks. It's infuriating to lose to that crap. And then it can pull stuff like Nosdarmu, which is still broken in the game, and it can skip turns. I just think it's toxic. I'm not a fan of the design. 7 portals, dragons, it's just gross. I hate losing to this card, especially when it's like randomly created on top of it. Not a fan of it. I just don't think it's just egregiously overpowered in my opinion. Even without ramp, it could be pretty ridiculous. Like, yeah. Anyways, I'm putting it on there. Yikes. Number 3, I probably would have put this a little bit higher, but she was recently nerfed, but she's still a pain in my butt. And that's Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. 9 mana, 8/8 legendary dragon that adds 2 random dragons that cost 1. Before last week, they would cost 0. And I just felt like, you know, it's an egregious, overpowered Highlander card. Typically, when you played a Highlander card, you got an effect like Healing to full, or get a potion, or cheat out a spell. But no, this is just vomit an egregious amount of stupid stats randomly, and it may or may not win you the game, and it's dumb. Like, I just thought it was dumb. Like, there's no skill behind it, it's just vomiting stats. And some of them could be just ridiculous. Like, you get, I don't know, Caligos into a Pyroblast, into Murazond, into, like, just... The ridiculous of this is just so high. The power level was just ridiculous. Yeah, you couldn't run duplicates, or you could just get it off Draconic Lackeys, which is even more dumb. By the way, we'll get to that. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this style of card. It just felt like the worst type of design. I argue it's one of like the top 5 worst design cards of all time. And maybe that'll be a video for one day, but yeah. Infuriating to lose to, and yeah, you can randomly create them. That's great. Number 2 on the list. I know I had Yogg on my favorites list. I have Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron on number 2. So for me, you might ask, well, if you liked Yogg, how can you not like Puzzle Box? So I said when Yogg was in Standard, I hated it. And this right now is in Standard, so I hate it. But the thing that I really despise is the fact that that Blizzard themselves actively acknowledged that Yogg was a problem. They didn't want to see competitive play. That's why it got nerfed. And they even said that in the attached balance patch notes. But then they reprint it and make it a mage spell that you can cheat out as early as like turn 6 or 5 if you got like a Saber on board with Dragoncaster. And it's just like, why should games be decided by pure random, right? And at least with Yogg, you would have to cast spells. You know, that's a tough requirement to do. And I don't know, it's just like, and you can run 2 of these, you can cheat them out in multiple ways, and it just feels so freaking awful to lose to a puzzle box. And it feels bad when you try and scam someone and don't scam them, especially after your opponent scammed you the prior game. I just don't like the design. But probably in 2 years I'll put on my favorite list, right? Because I have Yogg on there. So take it for what it is, but it's number 2 on my list. And number 1 most hated RNG card of all time isn't one specific card. It's a bunch of them. It's those stupid freaking lackeys. This particular Draconic and Ethereal lackey, the Dragon and Spell lackeys. I feel these guys are the biggest offender of just garbage RNG. Like, even the difference between, like, a damage lackey and a taunt lackey can be game deciding. But the fact that you can randomly discover, like, insanely giant dragon win conditions, or an insane spell, like, even Togwoggle Scheme, and you go infinite value, like, it's disgusting. Like, these random little 1/1s can create more value than almost any control deck in the history of Hearthstone. And it should just be like throwaway tokens. Like I mentioned in my prior video, Zeril, the little toxins, is a little bit of value, but that's it. But no, these guys go way off the deep end. Like, if there weren't the Spell and Dragon Lackey, it probably wouldn't be high on my list. It might not even be on there. But because you have that high variance, that ridiculous, obnoxious, infinite value chain you can hit, especially in Rogue, where you have Galakron, which gives you infinite lackeys, it's just infuriating and not fun in any way outside of you're the one playing it. And even then, it can be infuriating if you get the wrong lackeys, the wrong spells, the wrong dragons, all of that. Honestly, lackeys feel like the biggest mistake Hearthstone has ever made to an extent. Like, it's up there, so. That's my list of my top 10 least favorite RNG cards. Let me know in the comments below, what are your least favorites? Do you disagree with these? What should I put on there? All of that. There's a bunch you could throw on there, so I'd be glad to hear it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day. And stay salty, my friends.